Hello, my name is Bob Tortolani, and as has been mentioned, I'm a physician in the community, just recently retired. And I want to thank you all for being here, and also I want to thank those of you who are courageous enough to be protesters during that very difficult time. Protesting against the war, I think, was a very reasonable thing for us to express, those of you who felt that way. I wanted to say that, first of all, I'll tell you what I was doing over there. I had the honor of being a physician in an infantry battalion from September of 1968 through April of 1969. I was with the 1st Cav Division. And the last 4 months I was in a small emergency type of group with about 20 beds, and at that point I was taking, together with 3 other physicians, I was basically a triage unit for about 5,000 men. When people were injured, they were brought in by helicopter, and we were stabilizing them and triaging them, getting them to where they could get their best care. I wanted to say that I was struck, as was one of my friend here, by the Vietnamese soldiers saying that nobody wins in a war. It's all about destruction, and that can't be more true. We just have to come up with other ways to solve human problems other than wars. It's got to be other ways. Somehow we've got to find negotiation. We've got to communicate with each other. The other thing I was struck with in this film that's been done so well is the time when the Vietnamese, the North Vietnamese, were coming back from the South injured, and the healthier, frightened new recruits were going south. I had that same experience, and it actually virtually brought tears to my eyes when I left on a plane after a year in Vietnam. I think most of us were pretty tired and haggard. And to see the fright in the eyes of the young people coming to replace us, it was fearful. It was scary, it was sad, and I still remember that to this day. The point I want to make about my role over there, as I said, it was an honor to be taking care of these people. I was basically a family physician, preventive medicine, teaching medics to do the best they could to keep us healthy. Doing sick call, going from base to base on helicopter, seeing the people in the field. For those first 8 months, I got to know a lot of the people in that battalion. In the 8 months I was there, 90 out of the 900 were killed and about 400 injured. In other words, about a 50% casualty rate in my battalion. And among those who were killed, I knew many of them. And it was very hard after the first loss of a friend to get close after a while. But the amazing, I want to point out the fact that while a lot of the American soldiers were also against the war, they were doing their duty. They were there, they were doing the best they could, they were taking care of their brothers, they had everybody else's back, they did the best they could, they served their country, and I was proud to take care of them. I would just say that wars are just things to be avoided. It was awful to be in that war, but it was a great privilege to see the bravery and the way the American soldier dealt with a very difficult situation. So again, I thank you all for coming. Personally, I've been ambivalent about going back to Vietnam. I'm really thrilled that the country is doing so well, and that I thought it was, I thought it was actually a beautiful country. If you could, in spite of the terrible things happening in 1968 and 69, it was clearly a beautiful country. And those Vietnamese people you've met were nice people, just like the rest of us. We're all God's children. We're all just in this together. We're all human beings, and again, I think the mention was made by Tom of personal healing. I think that I'm as anxious for personal healing as I am for our nation's healing. I think that we need to continue, and hopefully this the dialogue that we produced by this film will help our country to continue the healing process, because this was the war of our generation. We made a lot of mistakes. I was just thinking, just bouncing from one thought to another, but on my way to Vietnam, I read a book called The Vietnamese Village, and it talked all about the culture of the Vietnamese people. I was just 26. I was as interested in the culture of the people going to this country. And it was very clear how much they cared about their family, about their village, about the tombstones who were in their village. They didn't want to leave from their village. Mm-hmm. And then when you heard that they were doing these strategic hamlets and taking people away from their homes, I mean, I don't think anybody read that book. Or if they read it, they could have cared less about it, but that book was really well done, and you really had a good feeling for the Vietnamese people and how they should be treated with dignity and treated the way people need to be treated if you're going to go into their country. And you didn't win the hearts and minds, unfortunately, by taking people away from their gravestones, I mean, that kind of thing. Now, the final thing I want to say is, I don't want to talk too long, but I think in terms of the healing, when I came home, I was told, Bob, you better take your uniform off, because, you know, you probably are not going to be treated very well. I think a comment was made about being ignored. Unfortunately, some of my friends, I never suffered from any indignities. I did keep my uniform on, but I know other people who were treated very poorly, and I think there was always, I think that as a protester or as a combat veteran, we're all the same, you know. We want peace, we want to avoid ourselves and our families being hurt, and it's we're all in this together. And I think whether we protest or whether we fight, whatever we do, I think we have to treat each other with respect. And I think there are 19.2 million veterans in this country. Mm-hmm. Please treat veterans very well. They need to be treated well. They've been through a lot, whether it's Afghanistan or Iraq or Vietnam or World War II. Veterans are special people. They need to get special consideration, and they need to be treated with dignity at all times. Thank you.